let's talk about this because this is just as confusing to me. This whole Ray Fisher thing that's going on right now, or what's been going on. So there's been a recent article that came out from. It's got kind of a clickbaity headline because it's not actually directed towards Ray Fisher, but I'm just gonna bring it up anyway here. It's from CBR, so it's not like some random place or anything. But this is very misleading, we'll say the least. It's not really clickbaity, but it says WarnerMedia response to Ray Fisher. It's time to move on. It doesn't really go on to say that. Like they don't call him out directly. It's just a statement from like either the lawyer or the PR person from the Warner Media rep, essentially, whomever it was, whatever their role was. But it was Warner Brothers rep that was actually giving the statement for this. Just said that they've conducted their outside investigation from the law firm and led by a former federal judge and all that sorts of fun stuff. More than 80 people were interviewed, and they have full confidence in its thoroughness and integrity, and the remedial action has been taken, and the investigation has concluded, and it is time to move on. They did not say, hey, Ray Fisher, it's time to move on. So that's not actually what happened. So I don't really agree with the headline here because it is very misleading, and it's just this is the kind of thing that just adds more fuel to the fire in these kind of situations, because then you get people who like literally just read the headline because they know 90% of people out there only read the headlines. That's why Twitter is a thing. That's why you only have so many characters to do it. See, that's literally why. Because no one wants to go through and actually read. And granted, look, I mean, this was just like it's right here. It's so close, and then they know like no one's gonna get that far in the article, and that's sad because it's literally 2 sentences down. Not that big of a deal, but this whole thing is just. I don't know. The only thing I have to say about the whole Ray Fisher thing to begin with is like one blanket statement that, and I don't care what, like you can agree to disagree. That's fine. But I don't think anybody can disagree with the fact that if you're watching this show, you probably weren't there. You did not witness whatever this abuse was that Ray Fisher is talking about. Like you weren't there. So you can assess and have your opinion based on what you see and what you're reading, but in the end, you weren't there. So I just don't think you shouldn't be jumping like down Ray Fisher's throat, and you shouldn't be pointing fingers at Warner Brothers because like you don't know what happened. You know, that's the only thing that like I'll never agree with anybody like choosing sides when it's like
just hearsay.
Yeah, were you in the room? Like, because I mean, why do you have any sort of why should people believe what you're saying? Because I mean, you could say that to Ray Fisher, that's fine. Because like, why should we believe him? There's been like that's the one gripe that I have with what Ray Fisher's been saying is he could be a great guy. I don't know, I like the Cyborg too, like he was fine, but I don't feel like he's came out and definitively said this person did this bad thing and this is why.
It was just super generic.
Yeah, he made a very vague statement about like Geoff Johns threatening his career, but he didn't say what actually happened. Like, and like that's the only thing that's kind of like confusing in some ways. And maybe it's like, why did you go public with all this stuff, like this whole thing, if you weren't gonna like give details about it? Because you'd think that normally the only time to go public with something like this is when you've gone through the other proper channels and you're not getting the outcome that you think you deserve in some way, you know? Like if you try to go like, if you go to your boss and the boss doesn't do anything, and you go to their boss and their boss doesn't do anything, and then you're out of options.
Retain a lawyer.
Yeah. It's like
you retain a lawyer and say, "Hey, look, you know, I was treated unfairly. I was wrongly, you know, threatened or whatever, and there's some compensation that needs to happen here."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like I don't know. And that's the thing. Like I said, I wasn't there. Maybe that happened. So like that's fine if that's the case. It's just odd though if that did happen. Normally, that's when you like make the details public.
Yeah, make like actual deeper allegations.
Yeah, because I just feel like everything has been like a little, like you said, vague. It's just vague. Like this person was mean, but what'd they do? They were mean.
Yeah, they were mean. Yeah.
Like okay, like but why?
That's honestly been my biggest thing with it too. Is you know, I've read, as far as I know, I've read all of Ray Fisher's statements on the matter. I've watched some of his Instagram posts on the matter. There was one where he was walking down a sidewalk and talking about the evidence that he has and stuff. And he's brought up a lot of times that there's all this supportive evidence for these claims that have been made. And there were other people like Jason Momoa, I think, came out and said he stands with Ray Fisher, and so that I don't know that Jason Momoa, especially having such strong ties to Warner Brothers and DC and his Aquaman character, would be willing to put his career or that part of his career on the line if he didn't believe Ray Fisher. So that lends credence to it. But I just don't. It's hard when you're told over and over, I have this evidence, but it never manifests. It never shows up. And on the other side, Warner Brothers has not exactly been forthcoming with their investigation. They say it's over. They say that remedial action has been taken. Well, what was the outcome? Why aren't you saying, these are the things that we found that were done wrong, and this is what we're doing to fix it. These are the actions that came about. So both sides are being very coy, and they're playing this weird PR game. And I don't necessarily, like you said, nobody was in the room. Nobody watching this. We weren't in the room. We don't know what happened in these situations. So it's hard for me to just get fully back one side or the other. As often with these cases, the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It's like, I don't know like who or what to believe. It's just like, you'd think after going public, we'd have the details for it, because it's just like, why would you go public?
Well,
if I don't know.
I said this when we were discussing it, before the show. It's odd to me that in a day and age where Ryan Reynolds can leak the Deadpool footage in order to get the Deadpool movie made, and Tom Cruise's rant about COVID can get leaked, and all these leaks happen left and right. Every other day there's another leak. And yet this is kind of not to belittle this, what happened, or minimize the importance of it. But this isn't like, Ray Fisher's not a major motion picture star. This movie was, by all means, not a major picture in the long run. Nobody really cares about Justice League anymore. They care about Zack Snyder's Justice League now, but Justice League is a kind of forgotten film out there. And so for the secrecy to be so strict around all this is just the whole thing is very perplexing. I don't think we'll ever have a straight answer on it. And hopefully, hopefully the focus will turn back towards Warner Brothers making good DC films, Zack Snyder's Justice League, and positive talk about
good
that.
Vibes.
Yeah, not
good
the
vibes.
negativity.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good vibes.
No, I'm with you, man. Because that's the thing that's just been the only thing that bothers me about it. Again, is just like, when you go public, that's the time to make the details public.
Yeah, put it all on the table.
Because otherwise it's just a he said she said thing, and that's all we're getting. And it's like they're trying to be diplomatic, and it's like, but you've gone public. Like, both sides. It's like Warner Brothers. It's just like, remedial action's been taken. It's like, okay, what does that mean? Like, who got their due Cummins? Like, because that implies that there was wrongdoing.
Doing on your sets to ensure that an actor doesn't be put in the situation that Ray Fisher feels he was put in. I mean, are you giving what are they called? Are you giving them, does each actor now have a supportive person that's taking their side when they go into these meetings or something? I don't know. It's very odd.
Yeah, because too, it's also like potentially like kind of a shame and I'm not taking sides by me, but like this whole situation like could obviously really like hurt Ray Fisher's career, because he's coming out and like, who's going to want to work with him? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, especially if the details aren't leaked. So like, if nobody knows what actually happened, so that no one can really take his side, it's like, why would Universal want to get in bed with Ray Fisher if they don't know what like wrong thing that they'll do that Ray Fisher is going to take public? That's always going to be in their mind. You know what I mean? It's just like, so that's only going to, like, not having the details out there will really just hurt him even more, because now everyone just knows that he's just spouting stuff out on Twitter and making things public, but no one knows why and if he's like purely justified or not, because no details are given. So it's like,
yeah.
it's just kind of confusing. And then the last thing we kind of have with, do you have something to say?
I was just gonna say, on a side note,
Yeah.
this whole debacle with Ray Fisher and Warner Brothers is hilarious to me, because yet again, even in the times when, even in situations where things are going bad, Marvel still does it better than DC does. I mean, you think about the kind of ugly sort of breakup that Marvel had with Terrence Howard and playing Rhodey going into Iron Man 2. And that never didn't get nearly to the level that this Ray Fisher thing has gotten.
No
Yeah.
one cares.
It's just, yet again, Marvel has one up DC in just every way, shape, and form.
Yeah, in some way. It's just kind of a shame, in all honesty. The last thing we really have here kind of ties into this too, so I'm just going to keep this one running, because apparently in one of Ray Fisher's claims, he said something about Geoff Johns like no longer working for like DC or something along the lines of he was going to be like forcefully removed after this is done, or something along those lines. And
I think he said WarnerMedia has severed ties with Joss Whedon
and Geoff Johns.
Jeff Johns is on his way. Will be next year or something.
And apparently not. There's an article here. An article here is that states explicitly that Geoff Johns, for one, he co-wrote Wonder Woman 1984, but that would have been in development prior to, I guess, these statements. But other than that, though, he right now is working on season 2 of Stargirl. He's executive producing Batwoman, Doom Patrol, Titans, and Superman and Lois coming to CW. So that's obviously not true, at least as far as right now. Like,
yeah, it doesn't sound like he's going anywhere.
Yeah, and I don't think DC. It would be pretty hard for DC and Warner Brothers to, like, something would have to be really bad for them to cut ties with Geoff Johns, because he's had a very like long career at not like incredibly long, but he's been with DC for a while and he's done some really good things.
Who's the chief creative officer for DC Comics on the whole, for 5 years there. Now, he's since stepped away from that role and is now kind of contracting with them and executive producing on stuff. But
they like absolved that role there, is like what happened. They absorbed it into Jim Lee's job. Like Jim Lee just took it over. So like, he's just like, I don't know really what kind of title he has there now. I think it's just like freelance, I guess, but only works with DC. Because like, I don't think he's gone out. I don't think he's gone and worked with anybody else since
he has his own
Green Lantern run.
Yeah, I think he has his own company right now. It's called like Madcap Productions or something.
Oh yeah, that might be right.
I think, but I think what you said is right. I think he's exclusive, or his company is exclusively working with or for DC right now, or WarnerMedia, whatever that would be.
Yeah, whatever it is, right? And I while Geoff Johns hasn't done too great on the movie front, though, like, I hope that like at one of these movies or TV shows coming out he's working on, somehow he gets that like Green Lantern fire that he had back, man. Because like his Green Lantern run was awesome. Like he's like the reason that Green Lantern's even like what it is today, like right now.
Yep.
Like, and
go read the Sinestro Corps War, and then if that doesn't get you excited about the possibility or what a Green Lantern series or movie could be, then I don't know what would.
That's something I'd like to see.
Well, that's the thing that's kind of baffling, is why we never got any announcement that Geoff Johns is attached to the, like, they have what's his name? The dude, Greg Berlanti, is producing the Green Lantern show, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Your Green Lantern guy is Geoff Johns, dude.
The problem is Johns was attached to, at least as I think I'm remembering this right, Johns was attached to the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie. And
he was. Yeah,
I'm not sure what happened creatively there. I don't know if he just didn't have the voice he needed to have to make the movie be what it needed to be. I have a feeling that the good elements of that movie, which there are some, despite what the overall impression of the movie was,
It's not
there
all
are
bad.
some
Yeah, it's
there are
okay.
some good elements to it. And I think those are probably his touches on that movie based on what he did in the comics. But I don't think he didn't have quite the clout that he does now. And so I think that may contribute to the but anyway, he's got the tarnish of that Green Lantern movie attached to him, so maybe that's why
Check the
they're-
screen.
Oh. Yeah.
He
look
did.
at
He wrote
that.
the screenplay.
Well, there you
There
go.
might be another screenwriter on it, though. We never know, because he and Patty Jenkins co-wrote Wonder Woman 1984, but he still has a screenplay by and story by credit. So we don't really know how much he was involved in Wonder Woman 84. You know what I mean? Like how much of it was Patty, how much of it was Geoff Johns. Like who knows? Like so, and it could be the very same concept with it. Let's see if there's anybody else listed as a thing here. I'm actually just kind of curious now. It doesn't
Additional
say.
cast or crew information.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's much info.
No.
His picture was at the bottom there. Is there somebody else down there at the bottom next to his picture?
No.
Okay. But that's your recently viewed.
Writers John. Oh, this is comic book. Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And writing, yeah, this is also story by, screenplay. No, it looks like he's the only one for the movie. He has the story by and screenplay credit for.
Deborah Snyder is a producer. That's interesting.
Well, Deborah and Zach are producers on like everything at DC right now. They were producers
Are
on
they?
Wonder Woman 84. Both their names were on that. It's like anything.
I just figured that was because of him bringing Gal into it and their involvement with spinning out BVS.
Possibly, yeah. Dude, the producer credit is such a nebulous term anymore, and like,
Really?
like dude, it doesn't matter what it is. Like Steven Spielberg's on like a ton of movies, and like all he had to do was like take a lunch with them, and it's like we'll give you a story credit, or like, or we'll give you a producer credit. That's you think he did anything on the Transformers movies for Michael Bay? Like, are you really think he? No, he had lunch with him. Like,
I produced The Force Awakens. I mean, shit, they let me do it. Just kidding.
yeah, right. But yeah, I just hope that long story short, I want Geoff Johns. I swear to God, I hope this better be right. If this is, because you can't always trust IMDb, especially like when it's this far out. Like this could be inaccurate. But of all the projects for Geoff Johns to be writing on, like this is the one. Like this is the one. He had a good Aquaman though run too, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah. So
he did
like
excellent.
Yeah, if I'm remembering correctly. So I mean,
he had a Superman run. He had a really good Superman run too.
Yeah, I don't know about the Superman one. I don't think I read anything about that one. But I did. I know. I saw
really
parts
good
of
Brainiac story. Yeah.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I have read that one. Then I don't remember. Either way, this is the one. This is the. I hope
definitely.
This is totally the one of any of them. So I hope it's good. Like
I hope it is. I like Green Lantern.
All they gotta do is get Chris Pine in there to play Hal Jordan. That's all we want. Like, don't bring him back for Wonder Woman 3. Just bring him back for Green Lantern. Okay, it's fine. Just do it. He'd be perfect for the Hal Jordan I have in my head. Okay, I know it's the one in my head. It's not the one they wrote. It's the one in my head. He'd be perfect for it. But alas, they're not making my Green Lantern movie, so which is probably a good idea, in all honesty.